is up, guys? I hope you're all doing well. The power is off again. That's why I'm sitting in the dark right now, so sorry about that. But I did go over the patch notes just now on stream. I think they're very nice. I think they give a little bit of love to Northern Realms, for sure, because that's the faction that needs it most. The other factions, not so much. I think that their cards in the expansion speak for themselves. But I will go over the patch notes real quick with you. Tomorrow's the expansion. I look very forward to it. And I can't wait to make absolute monstrosities of a deck. So I'll see you tomorrow. Black Sun card drop. Herald the Inevitable. Coming of the Black Sun. Or join Rainfree in exacting vengeance on all its profits. This card drop introduces 4 new cards per faction along with 3 neutrals. So we have the new card word, keyword infused. Status that adds effects or categories to a card. Removing the status removes all added effects and categories. Lock disables infused abilities. Interesting. Didn't know about the lock. So we've got Grace as well. Grace is the one we see in Northern Realms. The first time this unit's power is equal to or higher than the specified amount, trigger the ability. If the condition is already met when it enters the battlefield, trigger it immediately. So that's if hand buff is a thing, ironically. I wonder if that would work. Can you purify infuse away? Well, they didn't mention it. Well, it is literally a status, so technically yes. We've got Clash next. Clash we see in Skellige. Units simultaneously damage each other by their power. Not duel, but something else entirely. Then we've got the new seasonal mode if you didn't watch the dev stream, which is going to be Trial by Fire. Queue up with a faction of your choice. Your deck will be replaced with a pre-built deck for the same faction, featuring cards from the new expansion. So that's interesting. It also allows players who don't yet have all the cards to experience the cards, which I think is pretty cool. So let's start with the changes. Evolving cards. Oberon, Usurper, Varaxis, Ethne, Herald, and Jark now evolve. This means that unlike with usual transformations, any armor, statuses, ability, infusions, and power changes will be retained in the process. Okay, that is massive. That is massive. Thanks for the follow. So basically, chat, there was a real problem when you played this deck, where Ethne is something you'd never want in hand at the beginning, because Ethne will simply lose all the hand buffs she's given and changes into the 6-point Ethne Mother, even if you have something like Dunka on the board giving it power. So if I understand this correctly, we literally now have the card retaining its power, which is not bad in the slightest. So that makes me very happy, actually. Okay, next up we've got neutral. Ulzer now has the Knight tag. Interesting. That indicates that Ulzer is now viable in Northern Realms with the new Knight cards. Huh. Interesting. Okay, I haven't thought of a Ulzer deck yet with Northern Realms, but I guess it's a possibility. Next is Augured Immortal. Power change from 8 to 10. Augured Immortal. Okay, this card's power cannot be changed by other cards or abilities. I guess because it's cursed and a bandit, this card will have a lot more value to us now. Because of the cursed keyword, that alone can have an effect on cards like Altibald, which has a cooldown that will be triggered with a cursed card. So I guess they want to make this card more viable. We've got the Ornate Censor change, which I think is massive. So Ornate Censor is a kind of problematic card because it wins you the game if played correctly. So normally this would swap the power of the highest and the lowest power units on the battlefield, which is insane because if you have a 1-point card and your opponent has a 40-point card, it's a 38-point swing from their side plus 38 points towards yours, making it 76 points, and that's not good. So Yes, so this is now changed entirely. Provision cost changed from 9 to 10. Ability changed to boost an allied unit by the amount of damage dealt to enemy units this turn, or damage an enemy unit by the amount of boost given to allied units this turn. Okay, so you can boost if you committed damage, and you can damage if you committed boost. And it's only within one turn. I mean, I guess you can get value out of this if you really want to. I mean, you just have to make sure it's within one turn. So you can do a lot of damage in one turn, to be fair. Like, a lot. And the same goes with boosts. So you just have to make the entire deck sort of revolve around this card then, making sure you actually get a lot out of your 10 provision. But I'm glad it's changed, to be fair. It was a bit much. Yeah, you will definitely have to play this as its own card in your turn and then use something on the board. So it's going to take some setup, but again, it has the potential if you build your deck around it. So Sienne, power change from 3 to 5. Repeat the deployability of the next unit you play during this turn. Also a cursed card, you love to see it. Is that the black sun behind her as well? Your Majesty, the princess has been touched by the curse of the black sun. There's no hope, I'm afraid. Interesting. So this is an order ability. Obviously, it's more difficult to pull off because it gets killed very easily. But as it's now a 5-point card, it should be a lot easier to do. So I like it. We also have Vivian, provision change from 10 to 9. Boost self by the provision cost of the card on the right. A cursed card. Love it. Love to see it. Alright, next up we have monsters. So, monsters, Oberon King Invader. Replaced transform with evolve. So basically retaining all the previous abilities, power, statuses, etc. Vivian's still unplayable, right? No, it's playable. Like, again, the provision cost of the card on the right could be a 15 provision scenario, so it could work. It could work. We have the Necker Warrior, power change from 4 to 7. Necker Warrior. Ability change to deploy. If this card would not trigger any of your Thrive units, damage self by 3 and infuse self with Thrive. Alright, so Thrive getting a bit of love. So this is going to be a 7-point card. And if it doesn't trigger Thrive cards, it will damage itself by 3, so it will be a 4-point card again. And infuse self with Thrive. Okay, so right now that's already what it is. Huh. So basically it has been changed to a 7-point card. And if you fail to trigger any Thrive cards, you're punished by turning this into a 3-point card. With Thrive. I mean a 4-point card, sorry, after 3 points of damage. Which is what it already is. I'm guessing you rather want it to be a 7-point card. But it's not bad if it's able to trigger Thrive cards, right? And worst case scenario, you go back to what you had, which is this card, and it has Thrive, so Skellige, Ornate, tooltip adjusted to include the new clash keyword. Wait. When your opponent plays a unit, damage to the unit by Ornate's power, and damage Ornate by that unit's power. Oh, this is basically what clash means. It already has clash. To be fair, this is clash. So they just damage each other at the exact same time. Krach. Whenever you play a pirate or ship next to Krach, damage it and the lowest power enemy unit by each other's power. Exactly. So it's just gonna say clash. That's easy enough. Harold on Crate Warmonger, replace transform with evolve, referring to the evolve card, makes sense. And Melusine, replace veil with deploy, gain veil. So they talked about this, and basically What changes is the fact that if you get it back from the graveyard, it won't have Veil. So I do believe it will gain Doomed then, if going back into the graveyard. So yeah, Melusine has been nerfed. Interesting. I like it. Northern Realms, Royal Inspiration. I don't know where my speech has gone, by the way. I think if you cast for 2 days, it just disappears. You like use up all your speech ability and then you're left with nothing. And tomorrow will be like a 12-hour stream as well, so maybe. Royal Inspiration, provision bonus changed from 16 to 15. So a tiny nerf in provisions. Ability change to order, boost an allied unit by 5. If it triggered an allied unit's grace ability, refresh the order and reduce the boost by 1. Ah, that is so much better than what I was expecting. Because grace seemed really difficult to pull off. And remember, grace basically means a card has like grace 9, meaning it has to reach 9 points before you trigger that. So it has to stay on the board long enough to actually reach grace. In other words, if your opponent kills it beforehand, it's worthless. But now we have an order ability that can boost it by 5. And obviously you're going to want to trigger grace. Then it's going to refresh it. So you're going to do it again with 4. Trigger grace. Refresh. Trigger grace by 3. So that has the potential to play for quite a bit of points. Huh. I like it. I like it. I'm actually now rather keen to try out Northern Realms. That's really nice. Okay, so we have Reinhardt Odo. Power change from 6 to 7. Let's check out Reinhardt. Boost adjacent units by 1. It is a knight. Whenever you play a unit boosted by 1. Yeah, I remember this from the olden days. Provision cost change from 9 to 8. Ability change to whenever you play a unit boosted by 1. Grace 12. We have more grace cards. Thank gosh. Okay, so knights are actually very viable. Boost all boosted allied units by 1. So that is just crazy. That has the potential to play for like almost 18 points. If you are able to fill your entire board with cards, boost them all. It would be a lot to pull off, but still, that's crazy. I love it. I love it. Okay, next up, Vandergrift. Vandergrift. So, Vandergrift is also a knight, has resilience. Provision cost change from 8 to 9. Has new part of ability, Grace 12, gain resilience. Has a new part. Okay, so it retains its current ability, which means it has a shield and it has resilience. So if it stays on the board in the next turn, well, the next round, then you boost it by 6, gain resilience, and it will go into the next round after that. Okay, interesting. So you play this round 1, and then round 2, you use its grace ability, and it goes over to round 3. Okay, okay. I like that. That's not bad at all. Or if it gets purified, exactly. Alright, okay, I'm here for it. So this is now almost a must include, because it's a resilience card to start off with. Okay, so entire ability is changed, right? It doesn't retain anything. Deploy, damage an enemy unit by 5. Death blow, store destroyed unit's base power. Oh, it's changing into the other card, the red one. Store unit's base power. The next time you play a unit, boost it by the stored amount, then destroy self. Yeah, this is a must include if you're going to be playing Grace, in my opinion. Like, this is an absolute must include. So it's an automatic damage by 5, and if you're able to kill a card on your opponent's side of the board with a very high base power that you've already damaged down to 5 or less, killing it, you're going to be boosting your own next unit by that amount. So this can play for way more than 8 provisions if done correctly. I quite like it. Has new part of ability, Grace 10, Order, Gain Shield. Okay. So it's been buffed. Interesting. So every ally turn on turn end, boost this unit by 2 if it has a shield. So it will do that automatically. Then when it reaches 10, it will have the order ability gain shield. So if you get rid of the shield with one of your own cards or your opponent does it, then it will just get another shield if you use the order ability. So that's quite nice. Yeah, it's a minor buff, but it is a knight, hence the reason you want to include it in your deck, right? Okay, next up we've got the Cintrian Knights. Cintrian Knight. Nobody plays this. Alright, has new part of ability. So normally this would damage an enemy unit by 2. Death blow, gain vitality for 2 turns. So there's your damage card, right? And now, if you can get this card to 6, it will boost self by 2 as well. Interesting. So it is now a 3-point card that does 2 points of damage, putting it on 5. Can get vitality for 2 turns, putting it on 7. And now has the boost self by 2 at grade 6, putting it on 9 for 4. And if you get the death blow, that makes vitality even easier to get. So you'll get 5 points and just need to give it 1 boost to get grade 6 and trigger that. I mean, not shabby in my opinion. This is sort of a must include if I'm honest. Next we have Mad Charge. Okay, again, something we don't really see very often. So, ability completely changed. Boost an allied unit by 5. Give it 2 armor. If it's a knight, also give it vitality 2. So this is going to allow you to get grace more easily, which is quite nice. And a lot of our grace cards are knights, so I feel like Mad Charge is also now a must-include card. Not shabby at all. Next up we have the Redanian Knight. Has new part of ability. Okay, so normally you play this on the range row, boost self by 1 every turn. If you remove the armor, it will move self to melee row, damage highest power enemy unit by 2. Now at grace 8, which it will reach automatically if the round is long enough, boost adjacent units by 1. Not shabby. Again, at 4 provisions, I think this is fine. You could totally include this in your deck. Okay, well, we've gone through Northern Realms now. Thoughts? Do you guys like Northern Realms? I have more respect for it now. I must say, I can see this being a wholesome faction once again. So, the Ethne Young Queen will now evolve instead of transforming, which is great because that means we don't have to worry about any hand buffs going wasted. Yeah, that's probably the card that's going to benefit most from that. Then we have Percival Schuttenbach. Provision cost changed from 7 to 6. I never read his surname, ironically. Schuttenbach. So they're making Harmony even stronger. Absolutely love it. What faction will I try? Nilfgaard. Nilfgaard and then perhaps Rainfree. Then we have the Dryad Fledgling. Power change from 4 to 5. Interesting. Okay, so a tiny bit more difficult to kill then. Where are you, Dryad Fledgling? So it's going to be a 5-point Harmony card. That also greatly increases the value of Water of Broccolon, which will spawn 2 Dryad Fledglings onto a row. So it now plays for a solid 10 points right off the bat. Very nice. We have the Farseer. Farseer, provision change from 5 to 6. I don't know if we'll see people playing this, really. At 6, it's a bit much. I don't know. I mean, it was nice to include in your hand buff decks. But at least I won't be including 2 of them. I'll be including 1 if I go hand buff. It is nuts for sure. But yeah, it's definitely something you want to play at a certain point where you have... Is it a Torque not boosted yet? So you want to draw them all at the same time, and that's not always guaranteed. So one might go wasted if you wait too long. I can still see it being very good, of course. That's depending on how strong hand buff is as an archetype. And you're going to have to get rid of some of your engines that boost every turn, like the Hawker Smuggler, for instance. Next we have the Forest Whisperer that's able to poison. Power changed from 4 to 3. Provision cost changed from 5 to 4. Okay. Fair enough. Okay, next up we have Nilfgaard. Let's see what love Nilfgaard is getting. So first we have Glynis. Alright, so Simulate Love. Provision cost changed from 7 to 6. Fair enough. The Usurper General will replace Transform with Evolve. Oh, that's it. Okay. Interesting. It's fine. The cultists we have are good enough, it seems. Don't need more than that. Interesting that they wanted to give Assimilate some love. Huh. Alright, well, let's go over to Syndicate then. Oh, we're almost done with patch notes. Syndicate Jock, Miraculous Child, replace Transform with Evolve. Passiflora, name change to One Night, add the Passiflora. Okay. Scenario, progress whenever you play a Blind Eye. Prologue, spawn Sly Seductress on this row. Okay, chapter 1, spawn Passiflora Peaches on this row. Chapter 2, gain 6 coins. So they just sort of shuffled it around then. Yeah. Just shuffled it around. So you still get your Sly Seductress. You get it first though. Then you get your Passiflora Peaches, and then you get 6 coins. I guess. Okay, next up is Sir Skewertooth. Provision cost change from 7 to 6. Not bad. Oh, I'd love to see this in the next open. Okay, so Skewertooth is now a lot cheaper. We also have the Fistech Trafficker that now has a Blind Eye tag. Oof, okay, so we're going to see more poison then. Especially if it's able to trigger the scenario. And then lastly, the Salamandra Mage. Tribute cost change from 4 to 5. Makes sense. This card plays for quite a bit of points, and like they said in the dev stream, it's kind of necessary at this point because this card is able to give you so much. If you reach Adrenaline 5, it will give you 2 coins every time you use a tribute ability. So that's great. If you have 2 of them on the board, that's going to be 4 coins every time you trigger a tribute ability. So I get it. I think that's a valid change. Okay, well that's about it. Interestingly enough, Northern Realms got by far the most changes, but I'm very happy with that. They definitely needed it, to be fair. But I guess the patch itself is less important as we're getting a lot of new cards instead.